Fuego Pizza presents SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake. Let's go!
You know, we were just discussing the particulars about the song Disturbia, and Jesse had a very hot take about Rihanna's Disturbia. Jesse, do you remember your take about Rihanna's Disturbia?
What was my take? Tell me.
That it was a spookier song than Thriller.
No, I was joking.
Oh, okay.
No. Thriller is the best song of all time. I'm not. After a couple of songs on Purple Rain, but that's another discussion.
Such a great album. Can I just say that Thriller is not even my favorite Michael Jackson song? Beat It is, because one Edward Van Halen did the guitar solo on it, and they asked him, "Hey, do you want to make some money off this? Like, you're signed this thing?" He's like, "No, don't worry about it." Became the biggest song in the world.
No, don't worry about it.
No, don't worry about it. It's okay. So he even actually played it on stage with Michael Jackson once, which is kind of neat.
Wow.
If you really want to look up grainy YouTube footage, but I'm a big Van Halen fan, so that's why it's cool to me.
Steve,
what's
your
Justin
favorite
Bieber
Michael
song?
Jackson song?
I'd see. I'm really bad with song names, and I'm even worse with singing, so it's hard to convey.
Mm-hmm. I think you need to do both. Try to name the song and sing it to us.
No. What's the no? What's the one? The way you make me feel.
The way you make me feel.
That's it. That's the title.
Well, that's the song. I like that one.
It's a great
And
one.
Billie Jean, I like as well.
Yeah. Pretty Young Thing, underrated.
Oh, yeah.
Really great song. Black and White's great. Man in the Mirror. Like, there's some bangers there.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Oh.
Also
to
very
start
good.
the album. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Great
You can't go wrong.
instructions
Whatever
right off
song
the
you
top.
pick is the correct answer.
No, that's a good song.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff. Now, listen, guys, there's so much to get to today. There's so much fun we can have. So much fun. But we were talking about Disturbia, and I think it's important that Jesse and Steve understand the point that I was trying to make to them. And you might not know this. Now, I'm just going to change my microphone. This is how you sounded the other day, Steve. I'm just degainifying my mic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This
This sounds good. Okay, there we go. So did you guys know that Disturbia was written for a movie?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So that was a movie by Shia LaBeouf was the star, and this was right after he came out with Transformers. So that was like a big, Transformers was a big movie that year, and it's about him. It's about him spying on his neighbors and thinking that his neighbor is killing someone.
That's what the movie's about?
That's what the movie's about.
Oh, I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, and it made a lot of money. It $120 million, and it only cost $20 million to make.
Sometimes I'm like, they don't make any good movies anymore. And then I look back at the movies they used to make, and I'm like, we live in the golden age of media.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was looking at the box office and the Billboard charts for 2002 because the game that we covered last night for Sportsnet was from May 4th, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Remember "Oops" by Tweet?
No.
Yeah. Oops, there goes my shirt up over my head. Oh my, the oops, oh my. Song? Yeah, oops, oh my. Yeah.
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 Tweet. She was ahead of her time. That Tweet. She didn't peak. She should have peaked in 2010, right when everyone started to use Twitter.
Wow.
Lose Yourself, another big song. Give Me the Light. That was a big one.
Big tune.
Big tune.
Mm-hmm.
Hot in Her.
Mm-hmm.
Happy by Ashanti. There was a Sheryl Crow song. Can't remember which one. It was a big year. And it was a huge year for sequels. Men in Black 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Lord of the Rings and the Two Towers, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. 2002, big year for two.
Huge.
Huge.
Can I throw this out at you?
Mm.
Can either of you tell me who wrote Disturbia? The song.
The song?
Yeah.
The Dream.
Good. He wrote a lot of songs around that time.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not correct, though.
Not correct. Steve.
Christina Aguilera.
Nope. The song was written by Chris Brown. And Chris Brown was going to use it on, it was originally considered to be a part of the re-release edition of his second studio album, Exclusive, which was a huge album. However, after finishing the song, he preferred the song Forever, which later became the lead single from his re-released album. So he chose between the two of them, and he felt like Disturbia would be better for a female singer. And apparently I was wrong about the movie. It was just, the name was inspired by the movie. And so he gave, and then obviously they were dating at the time. We all know what happened after Brutal, but he gave the song to her, and that's how music history was made. And I think there was another song that Rihanna had that was supposed to be a Britney Spears song, and I'm pretty sure it was Umbrella. And I think Britney Spears turned it down, and I think it allowed Rihanna to take it. And I'm looking it up right now. But anyway.
Umbrella, fun fact, is made from GarageBand default loops.
Is it?
The bass of Umbrella, the drum loop, is a default sound package that you get with GarageBand.
Wow.
You know how sad that would make my dad, like, to just hear those words. He hates all that stuff. Remember back when people used to play instruments?
No.
My dad's one of those. Remember
which that drum solo you posted from Gary Glynn on Friday was pretty sweet, man.
Hell yeah, man! My dad beats the shit out of those drums.
He does. He's a hell of a drummer.
He's awesome.
Yeah, 63 years old. I could post a lot more, and I got to say, shout out Tina, the camera lady, for that. That is the most still I've ever seen her hold a camera.
Because Tina, your mother.
Yes. Because she this is how she takes photos. All right, guys. Here, 3, 2, what's you? And like, friggin', it's brutal. It's like she's standing on a paint can shaker, just here, everyone, Merry Christmas. And
so Steve, you actually got to watch some hockey last night. Now we do have some hockey news to talk about, to get to that sort of thing. But last night you were watching a game with between the Sens and the Leafs from the playoffs, and you had people that were actually there, like Vancouver Canucks coach Travis Green. You were on the broadcast with David Amber and Carolyn Cameron. Like, this is a cool idea. So can you explain for anybody that missed it? You could watch the game on TV, and then did you guys do the intermission, or were you just watching along and commenting as it happened?
No, we watched the whole time. And we're commenting the whole time, but we had guests on the whole time as well. And on
what platform? Twitter?
YouTube and on Facebook Live.
Cool.
So
okay.
YouTube streaming and Facebook Live. The production staff, everyone behind the scenes, was unbelievable. It's hard enough to book guests. It's even harder to do it during a pandemic. Someone had to drive an Ethernet cable out to Gary Roberts' house because we did a rehearsal on Thursday that was a disaster, and we couldn't get his internet to work. He's literally yelling at his kids in the other room, turn off Fortnite. It's slowing down the internet. Turn Fortnite off. And
I've heard Gary's pretty intense.
It made me want to go into the other room, turn on Fortnite, and turn it off, like, just to listen to his orders. Like, I was afraid. I was very afraid. But like, Travis Green scored the first goal of the game, and they booked him so that Travis Green was the first guest, and he got to watch the goal in real time.
That's cool.
Yeah, Shane Corson was on, and he was a pivotal part of that game. We had Gary Roberts on at like 10:30 at night when he scored the triple OT winner on our broadcast. That's the other crazy thing. This game was so long that it was crazily cut down, no intermissions. Commercial breaks were 1 minute only, and it still took 3.5 hours.
Wow. So you were on live for 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. I took one bathroom break. I
was at that game.
You were at that game? That's
right.
right.
No way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I was there. Yeah, some weird twist of fate. I was there. I remember Gary scored it at 11:51 p.m.
Do you remember where you're sitting? How old were you?
Yeah, it was up in the red, like the higher end of the lower bowl. And I probably 2002, so I would have been 14, maybe 13, 14. And it was in the spring, so we would have turned 14. Yeah, so this was right before high school started, and it was pretty cool, man. Like I think it was. I can remember my stepmom looking around and looking at my dad and I going, holy smokes, when's this going to end? And she sat down, and right off the next face-off, bang, it went in. And it wasn't like she was not happy, but not excited to be there. But you have to imagine that you're, the edge of your seat that you're on at home during the playoffs.
Yeah.
So imagine that, but with 18,000 other people for an extra game in the
For
same night.
a full extra game.
Yeah.
And
It was crazy.
Other thing about that game is the Leafs scored twice in the first 8.5 minutes of the game. And then the two teams combined for 3 goals over the next 5 periods.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of going, what's going to
Like,
happen?
I remember it was looking so good off the top because they did score. And then when teams claw back, as we know, it's terrifying because sometimes it feels like there's nothing you can do. And I remember thinking at the time, and this is my youthful innocence coming through, but when I went as a younger kid, it was during the Cujo and the Ed Belfour era. So they won a lot. It was a 6-year period where they were in the playoffs, and I think they were in the second round pretty much every year except for one, and probably the last year.
Most years.
So you begin to start to expect them to win, and I felt like I was good luck because I was in the arena and I'd never seen them lose since before Cujo got there. So I felt like because I was there, they were going to win. And
it was you.
He was correct.
And I was right.
Yeah. Crazy thing about that, Adam. Steve still believes that about him watching the
at
game
his couch. At his couch. It's funny if he wouldn't sit on his couch at home, maybe they wouldn't lose in Game 7, Jesse.
Well, no, after that Game 7, I no longer believe that.
Oh, is that true?
Great!
I no longer believe in that or anything.
Maybe we can find a couch closer together next time the Leafs play in the playoffs, probably next spring. And we can all hang out and watch a game.
Hey, maybe you can frig off.
Okay, well,
like,
just
yeah.
a suggestion,
What about that? What about?
And it doesn't have to be a meeting. We could actually get together as friends.
Yeah.
No, Jesse, not available for that.
I only attend meetings, so.
So
the full broadcast, I should say, is still up on the Sportsnet YouTube channel, and the plan is to do it a lot more. We're still working out some of the kinks. We could hear Dave Amber clearly, no problem, and then we find out on the YouTube channel no one could hear him.
Weird.
So he tried to join 3 times before he eventually just had to completely drop off the broadcast. It was just Carolyn Cameron and I, and Faisal. They just called and were like, "Are you busy?" And he's like, "It's a pandemic, no." So he just turned his computer on and joined the broadcast as a host. So we
cool.
had Travis Green, Darcy Tucker. I asked him if he ate human flesh. Shane Corson, Brian McCabe, Alan McCauley, and of course Gary Roberts. So it's still up, and we're hoping to do more.
Of those guys, who do you think was the most non-hockey media about it? I'm assuming Travis Green was very, had it very much together. Who was the most honest?
Travis Green, it's hilarious because his celebration for his goal is even just that.
Yeah.
And as he's watching,
for anybody listening, Steve just put his arms up in the air.
Sorry, put his arms up, expressionless face. Yeah. And even on the watch party, he's just like, yeah, it's a great feeling scoring a goal like that.
Great feeling.
It's a great feeling.
Are you serious?
Good time.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, dude. It's so awesome.
So funny. The back and forth between – I wish we could have had Darcy Tucker and Shane Corson on at the same time. So I didn't know this, but they actually live like 6 houses down from each other. But
yeah, they're tight.
They're tight. They're brother-in-laws, but they're currently practicing social distancing, so they only see each other now when they're walking their dogs. Right. And so even Darcy Tucker and Shane Corson right now are being responsible and like across the street going, "Hey, neighbor." So there was just that. I would say the guy who seemed like the most chill was Brian McCabe. That guy is just living the dream. He's got 2 different Brian McCabe jerseys behind him, one Chicago, one Toronto. He's still got the Fred Durst goatee, and he was wearing a Tool baseball cap.
I'm sure he's got a mohawk under there. He normally
Probably. Oh, and then so I grabbed my Brian McCabe. That's the one right there. With I got the alternate with the mohawk, and he's just like, "Oh, that's so cool! Yeah, my son has that." And I'm like, "How old's your son?" He's like 8.
No,
8-year-old son.
What does that say about your dolls, Steve?
Yeah, what does that say?
They're figures. Damn it!
I'm a little surprised, and I mean, maybe this doesn't mean anything. He might have a jersey from every team he played for, but wasn't Brian McCabe like a 22-year-old captain of the Panthers?
No, because the Leafs,
the Islanders
might have been the Islander. I don't know if he was the.
He was a very young captain. He was a very young captain
Captain.
Hey, the captain.
It's weird. There was an era where being the captain meant less.
Yeah.
Like remember the Minnesota
he was the captain in Florida.
He was the well in Florida.
And-
it was later in his career, though.
And in the island. And on the island. He was the captain on the island.
Captain.
Yeah, and he had big, long, bushy hair.
Oh, wow.
Bushy hair.
Yeah, he was really young.
There was a time where I think being the captain meant less because, like, the Minnesota Wild alternated captains.
Yeah, I think
1 year.
I think you're right, and I think part of that is media driven, to be honest. And I rarely say that, but if you even ask the teams, they're like, I mean, yeah, but it takes a group, and every former player, GM, owner, anybody that's done anything in the league will tell you that it's not. It has nothing to do with just the one person. I think we make a big deal of that in Toronto, but I mean, football teams have multiple captains. It's not just one player that wears a C. It's just here's the leadership group. So it's funny that it is sort of funny that we make such a big deal of it because it isn't just one person. It's so interesting that people are so, tied up at Morgan Riley, Austin Matthews, John Tavares. Who should it be when all three of those guys need to be the best leaders they possibly can be?
Right. It's strange that it's a designation. Like this guy, we are going to appoint him this crest that means more than the other guys, when in reality, it works like any other like workplace or office place where everybody has their kind of role and natural leaders will develop or change from day to day.
Yeah. It's sort of like I think part of it, the reason they designated is first off, a lot of the hockey players when this league was formed were coming out of World War I, right? So they were used to that. And you're the first among equals. So the way that democracy is supposed to work is that everybody's an equal citizen, but you're the first citizen because you're the elected.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the same. It's sort of that weird principle of, and also I think from the perspective of who's on the ice talking to the officials, I think they want to talk to a captain. They don't want to talk to Joe Schmo who just came up from the Marlies. So it's sort of a way to streamline that process too. And I think that makes a big deal because I think there's be a lot of guys who would be like yapping at the refs if they didn't have designated captains. You know what I mean?
I understand that from that perspective, from like just a rules based, when you're on the ice, this guy gets to speak to the guys who are controlling the game. Yeah, that makes sense. But in terms of the locker room culture, I don't think it should really cross over in that mindset.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think there's definitely, there was some footage that came out recently. It was from a Leafs Bruins series, and Roman Polak was on the Leafs, so it would have been 2018. And the ref, can't remember who he was yelling at the Leafs bench, but it was basically like, yeah, and what the hell do you want? What do you got to say, asshole? And I wonder if that's something that, we always talk about how the Leafs can't draw a damn call. I wonder if they just haven't developed those relationships yet.
Well, Tavares doesn't talk.
And Tavares doesn't talk, which is a problem. Like Mo is the only one, right?
Yeah.
Like you look at Sandin's not drawing any calls because of who he is, Yeah,
and
played 10 games here. Who are you?
This is how dumb kind of jock culture works. Mitch Marner's yelling at you, and you're looking into a child's face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are. Listen, we shouldn't be shocked. There was a rumor going around when the Devils hired John Hines that other teams were weary of hiring him, not because they didn't think he was a good coach. He had a great coaching record coming out of the minors. They were worried teams wouldn't respect him because he was short and had a high voice. You know what I mean?
It's terrible.
Yeah, well, I'm not totally surprised, I think.
Yeah. Ref, that was tripping. Shut up. You draw on your gloves. Leave me alone.
Friedman said once that he was deliberately trying, he was losing weight and he was trying to get healthier, but he said a part of it, a small part of the reason he was trying to lose weight, because he thinks some of the athletes respect reporters more if they see that they're also kind of athletic.
It is a thing.
Yeah, and he said it's a thing amongst them. So
kind of makes sense. That's probably why there's so many former players that are coaches. Even if they're not in fantastic shape.
There was a player I was speaking to once, a former player, and it's not one who I currently work with, who I asked him about a coach he used to have, and he was just like, fat asshole.
Wow.
Because it's tough when someone's like, "Hey, work harder," and you see them not doing any work whatsoever. The only time they put on skates is for practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, with Keefe and Babcock, both guys pretty fit, right?
Yep.
Yes.
You have a Mortal Kombat style tournament with the Leafs and make Sheldon Keefe fighting it. He probably makes it pretty close to the end.
Yeah. I think he's a bit of a gym rat too. It's funny because you wonder where the hell they get the time, right? Like coaching is like a 14-hour-a-day job. Where's the 15th hour coming from?
Yeah.
Do these guys
maybe you're
ever
working
get
out
home?
with the guys,
Yeah, maybe.
While the players
Probably.
are working out, you're probably in there too.
Crushing weights, which I'm definitely not doing right now, by the way.
Picking stuff up and putting it down,
Yeah. Let's lift some heavy things. Yeah. So the broadcast went well. What was it like? What was Darcy like? Darcy Tucker, was he fired up? Was he excited? Because he had his entire family. I think I saw on Instagram. He had his entire family around the dinner table watching, which I thought was so awesome.
Yeah. So what I liked about that is, we have Travis Green on, and we're talking about comparing himself to today's players, and we were talking about a comparison of the eras, and I was either saying to him or Carolyn, I was just like, well, look at a guy like Darcy Tucker. Like, if he were to play in today's NHL, forget suspended, he'd be in jail. Like, that guy was a nut. He was a complete nut. And then when we have Tucker on, one of the first things he says is, "Oh yeah, so I've been watching the whole time." So I'm like, "Ugh," he heard me say that. So I just tore down all pretext. And my first question to him was, "Darcy, have you ever eaten human flesh?"
And what did he say? Did he laugh?
No, but he didn't say no immediately.
Okay, so you had to think about it. How do I want to answer this?
He denied it in the way that a guilty person would deny something.
Okay. All right. Well, it's kind of cool that it's kind of cool what, there's been a lot of not cool lately. So it's kind of cool to see some new ideas and some new ways of doing things, because there's no way in a million years Sportsnet's able to do that unless or there'd be no reason to do that unless everybody's at home. And it's nice that these guys are willing to participate. And frankly, it's quite cool that they all sort of live in the GTA. There's a lot of former players here. And so they've got, they can, within a couple hours, you can pretty much hit most of the Leafs captains that are still alive, except for Matt's. You can do really, really cool things with the internet as well. Cause it makes me wonder 20 years ago, what would they have done? Right? Like, what would have happened if this had struck?
Just be shafted.
Yeah. So I just think it's really cool that you guys are doing that, because there is a whole bunch of new ideas that everybody's trying, at least in the media side, that I think is really healthy. It forces you to just try something different, and such a cool concept. And it's so great to see that you guys pulled it off too, because I think it's neat to have those guys. Now, I'm a little disturbed at the lack of Ottawa Senators that were on that broadcast.
Yeah. That was something that we talked about. And yeah, believe me, we read the comments. We know.
And
we're aware.
There's only listen, there's 40 people in Ottawa anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. Well, and why don't you ever show a Sens win? And I'm like, the first game they showed when the pandemic happened was the 4-goal game. Like with
the Matthews
4-goal game.
That was Steve. That was not the story of that game.
They won.
Doesn't matter. That is not the story of that game.
They
won. You know it.
No, that's true.
They know that they've got a ready audience with Leaf fans who want to relive some glory days.
Yeah.
Of which there are very few. They'll run out.
Hey, you see these lights? Notice how they're still on? Go Leafs, go.
All right. Steve, how did you describe that game? Did you call it the Matthews 4-goal game or the Sens 1
I called
game?
it the Kyle Turris overtime winner.
The Sens 5-4 victory in 2007 to kick off the season.
You call the game by what happened, and you said
I'm
speaking
to two Leaf fans here. Okay, like I'm a smart guy. All right, I'm a smart guy.
Mm.
No, if we get a game from one of the earlier battles of Ontario, like 2001. I want to do the whole show with Jason York because he played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I don't want him as a guest. I want him as a co-host.
What almost makes you wonder with the because there were 3 or 4 series between the Leafs and Sens at that point.
I think it was 4.
So why wouldn't you do like what Sportsnet and TSN have done, which is they reran the Raptors, right? Or they're rerunning the Raptors. They're still doing it.
Yeah.
I think you should do that. You should absolutely do that. Like you should just go those series. Okay, this week it's the 1998-99 series or whatever it was, and then the 2000-2001 series, and then the next year, and like just run them back to back. Because most of those games, except for one series where the Leafs swept, most of them were 6 or 7 games long.
There were at least 2 7-game series. Yeah.
And you know what I'd like to see again?
Wow.
When it gets into more like when they start to run like other seasons, I'd love to see the Bruins Vancouver Canucks Stanley Cup Final replayed in its entirety without any cuts. But what I'd love to see too is maybe a couple of games. Wasn't it the Canucks and the Blackhawks the in the Western Conference Final
that year?
Yeah.
No, so that was the first round.
That was the first round.
The Blackhawks always kicked the shit out of the Canucks. The 2011 Canucks were this complete powerhouse, this juggernaut. This is the year they're finally going to beat the Blackhawks. They win game 1, they win game 2, they win game 3. The Blackhawks storm back to win games 4, 5, and 6. And I want to say Dave Bolland, and this is part of the legend around him, I want to say Dave Bolland missed games 1 through 3. He returned. They went 3-0.
Wow.
And then that series that was 3-0 Canucks went to Game 7 overtime, and Alex Burrows scores. The Canucks win the series. They call it the Dragon Slayer goal, but like it's a little bit like the Bruins comeback against the Leafs. It's the comeback that should have never had to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you didn't beat like the Magic Lakers. Like, you beat a shitty Leafs team that should have never made the playoffs. Like, you know, I know it's a Dragon Slayer goal. You finally, you know, buried some of your demons, but you were up 3-0 in that series, man. You close that out in 4, you probably win the cup.
Yeah.
They went through 13 defensemen during that run.
Yeah, you just upset a lot of people.
Man, you've already upset Ottawa like 3 times, man. Come on.
They know. They know.
But, you know, those are the things that, like, I think now, like, here's what I'd love to see Sportsnet do. And I'm pretty sure because they have the NHL rights, they can do this. I want to see the 2012, I want to say, Flyers-Penguins series.
100%. That was one of the first ones I suggested.
Show me that series all over again. I think James Van Riemsdyk is still a Flyer in that. Like the first time around, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he was traded the next summer.
Pick in 2007. Yeah.
So, like, I would love to see that. And then there's some other playoff series. Like, I'd love to see something from the LA Kings run, especially from that first round where they came in as the 7th seed. Yeah. You know, the
2012 is the one where they just beat everybody.
Yeah.
2014 is the one where they had that crazy series against Chicago. That was basically the 3rd round Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm. That was the first year that we had the show. Like, we started midway through the playoffs, which is our time to start.
It was our first full season. No, our first cup was the 2013 one. It was the Blackhawks beating who did they beat in 2013? Oh, that was the Bruins. That was the 17 seconds one.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It wasn't a bad time to start the show.
No,
that's for sure. No, weird, and that was another thing that's been discussed is, you know, it's cool to go back in time 18 years ago to 2002, but how many people actually care? Like, some people are going to find it really cool. Others are going to find it less interesting. So even 2012, like, is that too long ago? That's 8 years ago now.
The thing is that if they didn't see it, they didn't see it. And you know what would be fun is to go back and show a series from the 80s. Go back and show a series from the 70s. I know there's a Leafs Islanders series in the late 70s that was vicious.
Oh yeah.
And I think people would really enjoy that. And you know what, Steve? It's like, you know, there are people watching because everybody's at home. And I think people would get a real kick out of how different the game is. And beyond that, the fact that a sports network is even creating any sort of content at this point is great. People should be happy with that. And I think there's a lot more leeway. Like, a couple of the shows that I like to watch on HBO are live audience shows, and they've had to switch. One of them just did it and did their jokes and did their thing without an audience, and it sounded weird and awkward. Another one, put a laugh track in, but then showed like a fake audience laughing at their jokes. It's still weird, but it's better. It sounded better. But
It's fun.
like they're trying, right?
Yeah.
They're trying things, and that's what I go back to is like try it out. Try a Leafs Islanders vicious mean game. Try a Montreal Canadiens game when Guy Lafleur was still a Montreal Canadian. You know what I mean?
I've never seen Wayne Gretzky play. Like, I'm too young to see Wayne Gretzky live.
Yes.
I would just love to see a couple of his greatest hits, you know?
A regular shift. I want to see a Wayne Gretzky
Just
regular shift.
Mid-season in a February. I just love to see that.
I never saw Wayne Gretzky play live. That's a regret of mine. Never saw Gretzky or Lemieux play live. Bobby Orr was obviously way before I was born. Who's the best player I ever saw live?
You ever seen Sid?
Before the current generation. Sorry?
You saw
Sid, it'd be
right?
Crosby.
I saw Sid, but like he's still playing. I saw the Sakic and Forsberg Avalanche.
I didn't see that.
I always say Forsberg is the best player I ever saw live when I was a kid. I saw Yzerman, but I'm not really old enough
him too.
to remember it. I saw Grant Fuhrer and Brett Hall.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
And Al McInnes, Chris Pronger. The one thing I would say, so there's probably a lot of people, pretty bummed about what the fallout's going to be from all this, especially if you're trying to get into media. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's probably going to be pretty bad. But just know that, Adam made a great point. There's a lot of people right now doing a really good job at making stuff, doing a really good job at making good stuff. And so many of the people behind the scenes at Sportsnet are young and motivated, and they're still trying to get established too. And they're doing an unbelievable job of it. It's amazing how many people haven't broken stride while adapting to everything. This is the Jeff Goldblum speech from Jurassic Park. Life finds a way,
Right. And the old adage that like when you're under your most pressure, that's when diamonds are created, right? Like that's the and that's the thing is that like it is going to force change, and it's going to force change across all industries. But I think it's really cool the way that they've embraced that. And in fact, what I'd love to see Sportsnet do is do your live streams or whatever. But you guys should do the intermissions as well and break down the plays. Like
why not?
Or have the intermission crew to do it from there. Like if they want to run an alternate feed, that's totally cool, and I understand that. But why not have Jeff, Brian, and Elliot breaking down the game? And maybe
I'm sure that's in the plans. I'm sure.
Yeah, like that would be so sick. I would love to know what Brian Burke thinks of the 2002 Leafs. I would love to know what Brian Burke would say about the Ducks when they won the Cup against the Senators. You know what I mean? Like
and that
he was their GM.
Who was it? The Black? No, it was the Red Wings. Detroit. The Ducks had to beat the Red Wings in the conference final that year, and that was a really good series. And I think Chris Pronger got suspended. Like, I want to get.
No way, Chris Pronger got suspended. But to get suspended in the playoffs back
in
then
2007, and Chris Pronger, right?
Who never got suspended.
You have to try and kill someone to get suspended.
Yeah.
Oh,
he did.
And it, on last night's broadcast, it just made me laugh so hard. Right at the beginning of the second period, Travis Green cross-checking Zdeno Chara. Like
that could have been 2020 January.
He's been
same play,
forever.
Oh man. Oh man.
He's been around so long. He threw still in his 20s Brian McCabe to the ground.
That's
he's been around.
I talked to McCabe about that. I asked him about it.
Yeah.
Because I go, Brian, I've always told people that you won that fight because even though you got thrown around and embarrassed, Chara missed 2 weeks after that fight because he picked him up and threw out his back.
Right.
And McCabe's like, well, yeah, he picked up like a 250-pound man and threw him like a rag doll. One more thing, like I guess just on the media side of things is sort of at the beginning of all this, I saw a few people go, hey, listen, if you've never done a podcast before or you've never streamed before, don't friggin' start now. Leave it to the professionals. You suck or whatever. And I'm like,
who said that?
Who said that?
I just saw a few people on Twitter, and I'm like, I'm so proud of you that you're so fucking cool.
Oh yeah,
stupid asshole. If you want to try something new, you go try something new.
No, don't try new things.
No, don't
Stick
try
to
new
your
things.
Lane.
Don't grow or evolve or succeed.
Was this a media person who said this?
No, it's some Twitter asshole. No, it was a verified person. I can't remember who it was.
No way.
And
Well,
there
they're
was
dumb
more
as
than one.
bricks,
There was
man.
more
That
than
was
one.
What a stupid thing to say. This
No,
is not the time? Dude, this is the time. This
is 100% the time. This is the dojo.
This is
the dojo. Exact.
Everyone's house is their dojo right now. You're all locked in your own head, basically. Yeah.
So this is how I'm getting through this. And nobody else in the world has to do this, but this is just what I'm thinking. My whole thought process right now, everything I do, is how do I want to come out of this? How do I want to be when this is over? So I'm planning things I never planned before. I'm organizing things I never organized before. I took a step back from my life, and not only have I got to spend an enormous amount of time with my daughter at a very formative age, which is amazing.
Who slept 14 hours last night?
Who slept 14 hours last night. Well, she got up at 5 a.m. and Caprice and I were like, let's give her a bottle, put her back down, see what happens. And she slept until 9, which was awesome. She went to bed.
Asterisk.
Yeah, so 15 minutes in there, but I'm up at 5 a.m. anyway. But the point I'm trying to make is everything that you do, even if it's nothing, even if you don't want to do anything right now, and that's totally cool too, is going to make you better when this is over. So I'm not one of those people that's like, well, you need to work out and you need to plan and you need to do this and you need to fill your life with shit. And you don't. Take a step back from the yellow tape a little bit here and just and have a look at, think about it. Just all you have to do is think, what do I want to be when this is all done? How do I want my life to look, and how can my life look different? And I know that there's going to be challenges for everybody in every industry. And you got to take that into account. But if you can, it might be an opportunity to ask yourself, what makes me happy? And how can I do more of that? And if you want to start a podcast, start your damn podcast. Do it. Why not?
I think you should listen to the assholes on Twitter who say, don't try anything.
See, Jesse's bothered. Jesse's bothered by this. But if you look around, though, people are ignoring that advice or whatever you would call it. People are ignoring them.
Let me ask you, Jesse.
Motivated people will always win over people who
I just
want
to push so hard back on that mentality because that's a shitty person.
It's an asshole. It's, you're so cool. Eat shit.
There is a lot of Twitter clout being chased for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
People get mad at like
high school in their head.
People get mad at like I remember when there was a Leafs. Oh my goodness. And I forget the specific story, so you'll have to forgive me for this. But earlier this season, there was a kid who nobody attended his birthday. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, yes. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And there were several accounts who said, clout chasing, blah, 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 blah. Man, if your clout chasing is just to get a shout out from the Leafs and a free ticket, good. Great. Have fun. Fill your boots. Yeah. If your clout chasing is to strike down people's ideas and tell them it's not a good time to start whatever their dream is, man, that's the worst kind of clout chasing. That's the worst thing that you can do.
Oh, do you think this is real?
Cade Foster. Right, Cade. And then Arnold wished him a happy birthday. It was amazing.
Do you think this is real? I'm like, who cares? Like, it's nice.
Matter?
It's nice. And this kid's getting a cake. And some people are like, oh, that's cute. And look, I helped. Whatever, man. Fuck.
So here's the thing. I love that about the internet because because everybody's so fucking cynical now, is the first thing everybody asks is this real? Could this be real? Is this fake? Could this be fake? So I was in the bank yesterday and I had to do some wire transfers for something. And I waited in line for an hour because the bank opens at 11.
And you got to stand well back?
Well, that and the fact that the first hour is for seniors. Fair. So once I found that out, I went back. I was like, oh, okay. Because I was there at 10:30 and then they showed up at about 10:45 and they said, okay, so the first hour is going to be for seniors. So I said, okay, I'll go home. It's within walking distance of my house. So I went back home. I showed up for 11:30 and the lineup was right around the corner. It was long, but also people were distanced and whatever. So it's no big deal. And obviously there's some pissed off people in line because they felt like, well, there are not enough signs about this. And I waited in line while the seniors got in and people being shitty.
Hey, message to those people. You're not doing anything. Exactly. You don't have anywhere to be. Go stand in line. Who cares?
Yeah. And that's how I felt. I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to my History of Napoleon podcast and I'm going to be happy. And I was. It was great. And
how about when you go back home, turn on your fucking TV and you'd know that the first hour anywhere is for seniors? Like where have you been? Where have you been?
So
I know the answer's home. So what have you been doing?
And I hesitate to say this because given what's going on in the world right now, I think it's awfully. I know, but yeah, okay. I found the experience going to the bank stressful. Now,
okay.
I hesitate to say that because there are so many people working extremely stressful jobs right now, and I get to sit at home on my ass on a microphone. So so it's like, oh, you had to leave to go to the bank. Sorry, like
no, but it's stressful. It's stressful for the same reason. No one wants to be around anyone right now,
right?
Because of the risk involved with being around anybody. And
there's a lot of people who are grumpy about it too, right? That are really not. Now, there's a lot of people. You know what? I would say 99.9% of people have been amazing about it. They're really great. Like if you step, I remember there was a lady the other day. I was walking on the sidewalk. And I stepped off the sidewalk, and her daughter were walking together. She's an elderly woman. Her daughter's a little bit older, and they waved and said thank you and whatever. And it was like, it's not. I'm not saying that because I'm some big hero for walking on the street, but it was like it was sort of nice of them to even acknowledge it. Like that was nice.
Jesse, is Adam a great guy?
Adam is a hero in our society.
What I want to tell you about the bank though is I get in there, and this goes back to how cynical people can be. I get in there, and there's all types, right? There's all types there for all different reasons. There's the person who's there who's asking them to check 2 and 3 bank accounts just to find $10, which you feel really, really sorry about, right? It's tough.
Well, and
really tough
stay home and do online banking. They clearly don't know how.
They don't have
the means or whatever.
They don't have internet.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't stay home. I had to go to the bank for this. Believe me, I would have rather stay home.
Yeah. Because
there was somebody else who was in the business section because there's that business line. She is an elderly woman, but still runs a business. And she had to they had to get her a chair because she'd been standing for so long. And so there's that going on. And then there's this fucking guy.
It's always some friggin' guy.
No.
Tell me about friggin' guy.
I don't even know if he's a friggin' guy. I think he's a fucking guy. Okay. So this guy's got to be early 50s. Okay. And he's talking to the bank teller. And shout out the bank tellers on Parliament Street, on TD and Parliament Street, because they are amazing. They were kind. They were social. They had to do a little screen test for you going in, like, hey, have you been around anybody with symptoms? Have you traveled in 14 days? Whatever. And they were so polite, and people were not being polite back. So I want to say I really respected their patience because it's not easy.
If you are working anything anywhere right now, kudos to you. If you are working anything anywhere in a downtown area
setting,
holy shit!
Yeah, where you have to talk to people, like you do some sort of customer business.
Yeah. Oh my god! Yeah, dealing with the general public on a good day is difficult.
Yeah.
It's tough. Everybody walks in with different priorities, and especially when it comes to money, right?
Yeah,
Money's a very triggering subject for people. So working at a bank could be, I would imagine, pretty highly stressful. But regardless, so I walk in, and this guy, and I'm doing my transfers or whatever, and this guy,
TFG,
this guy is done whatever banking he needed to do. But this guy has decided that the teller would love to know who's really in control of all the banks in the world.
Oh, no.
Because this fucking guy knows.
Oh, TFG.
Not everybody knows, but this fucking guy who waited in line at the bank.
With his fucking InfoWars sticker on his truck.
By the way, the title is going to be TFG.
Yeah,
TFG. 100%. TFG. 100%. Yeah.
This guy knows. He knows who's in control of the banks. And
Thank goodness he knows.
Tell us.
And I'm glad he knows. And you know what? It's funny. If I had that kind of knowledge, you would think that I would be able to use that to profit. But not this guy. No, he's too good for that. He just knows and does nothing with it. So this guy knows because of YouTube probably and Reddit. And
Alex Jones.
Fucking YouTube.
And I heard him say the name. I heard him say the name Rothschild.
Oh, yeah. Big player.
Which is stupid. And then he said another family, and I forget what it was. And he said, he's like, they may not be the owners of these banks, but they own all the shares in these banks. And I can only imagine what our YouTube comment section is going to be like after I tell this story. But this fucking guy is like, I know.
Oh, no. I bet it'll be something we've never seen before.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, guys.
And the teller was like, God bless this teller, because he's sitting there going, yeah, you know, that's crazy. And I counted 4 that's crazies.
Oh, wow.
And the guy didn't get it.
That's a wild amount of that's crazies.
That's a lot of you're dismissed after. Wrap the story up after 1 that's crazy.
Yep.
Wrap it up.
Oh.
At 4, you're just completely blind to what anybody has to tell you. So this guy's just telling the bank guy, and he's like, anyway, he's like, so he wraps up the conversation. He's like, you know what? He's like, we can put up with this for a while, but this is a police state, and we need to recognize that, and there's going to be a revolution.
What?
And this guy is just a normal guy. He's like a normal guy. He wasn't like, you know, you'd think that there'd be like, you know, there would be some sort of tell. I don't know. I think we've been conditioned through the movies that like the bad guy is always looking like this, you know? So you think
they got like a scar, like
in
the movie.
Totally.
No.
This guy's just a normal dad. And I was like, that is somebody's dad. That's somebody's dad. That's somebody's husband, or maybe formerly. And that guy is going to go home, and his family who are stuck with him in that house are going to have to listen to that shit. Can you imagine? This guy stays. I lost some sleep last night because I was deep in the internet. Thank God YouTube exists, because the real truth is out there.
Oh my God!
Like,
The real
holy.
truth is out there on YouTube. You know?
And the teller did not crack. God bless him. So shout out that teller.
Wow.
And actually, in fact, that's my shout out today. It's to everybody who is working at a bank, because stressful because it's people's money. Number 2, stressful because they've got the shields up, but still. And number 3, just the fact that you have to listen to conversations like that. I'm sure that shit happens all the time. I'm sure it happens all the time.
Quick PSA about money, by the way. So there's been this viral post going around hockey Twitter, because I guess someone who's, you know, a prominent hockey fan is a bank teller. And they posted this picture of all these bills with little burn marks in them, because, and this is in Canada, this is Canadian money, because they tried to disinfect their money by microwaving it.
What?
So I guess it's set fire to the money, because there's like some sort
Microwaving doesn't disinfect anything, by the way. People know that, right? You put your sponge in the microwave, you see the condensation come out, but that doesn't disinfect it. But here's the condensation coming out is germs.
Here's the great thing, though, about Canadian money, and they showed this on the news. It was Richard Southern with 680. Canadian bills, you can literally wash in the sink.
Yeah. It's plastic.
You can put
Our money is made
in
of plastic,
water and soap and clean it.
Yeah.
If you're
not
that
the microwave.
We've tried it. We've done it. We've washed our money. Literally money laundering.
Wow.
That was the headline of the story. But yeah, don't microwave your cash.
I remember when I was in Calgary.
This is week 3, and we're telling people that.
I know.
We're not even a month in, and people are microwaving money.
When we do a retrospective of this era, like imagine, 7 years from now, we're going to be in a studio somewhere, and we're going to be like, guys, remember the pandemic? Remember what the topics we discussed?
People microwaving money.
Let's do a little rewind, and it's microwaving money. But I remember when I was in Calgary, our competitor station had a contest where they either gave away $5,000 that morning or they lit it on fire. And so you can imagine
that's
that
illegal.
It is illegal.
Very.
You can imagine that there were people like, you know, from charities who were like, we could use that. So they had this live video, and I forget how they would have posted it, but they tried to actually physically light it on fire, and they can't.
Yeah.
They can't
because it's Canada.
Not flammable.
Yeah.
So they
You
tried
can't
to
light money.
Yeah. Now I don't know if they knew that going in. And I actually thought the idea was funny because it got a lot of attention. Like it made it into the newspaper, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, it definitely soiled their brand, but there was definitely something there that maybe they could have turned that around and had a big victory for the station. But the video was kind of funny because they're just trying to light it on fire and it won't. Anyway,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good times. So
try new things, kids. I guess that's what we're saying.
Absolutely try new things. So here's the thing: the president had a call with all of the major leagues. I believe it was yesterday.
The president
of the United States of America, and
all 50 states.
All 50? No, just I think the 4 leagues. Not all. Yeah, but he is the. He is the president of those 2.
Yes.
13 league commissioners. So we have.
Oh wow! I didn't know it
Um,
was that many.
I didn't either.
Yeah, the dodgeball league is really coming up.
Gary Bettman, National Hockey League. Kathy Engelbert, Commissioner Women's, WNBA. Don Garber, Major League Soccer. Roger Goodell, National Football League. Rob Manfred, Major League Baseball. Vince McMahon, WWE.
Of course.
Jay Monahan. By the way, the WWE wasn't WrestleMania last night?
No, next weekend.
Oh, it's next weekend. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
Saturday.
last night was night one.
Oh, is it this weekend?
I think it is.
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
Wow. I must have missed
Yeah,
it.
it's
I was
supposed to
like,
be
we should
2
do a
nights, right?
breakdown. I don't even know who the characters are anymore.
I
was,
didn't even have the
I
right
was-
night.
I keep an eye on the viewership numbers for the stream, and I kept going, I wish there were more people. And my wife goes, well, WrestleMania. So
Tonight at 7.
There you
Second
go.
half. I missed night 1. Damn it.
Dana White, UFC. Adam Silver, NBA. Roger Penske, IndyCar. Michael Wan, Commissioner of the LPGA. And they put Vince McMahon in there twice, both of the WWE. So that's weird.
12.
And Drew Fleming of the Breeders' Cup. So that is actually, yeah.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yes, Breeders'
I'm
Cup,
like,
horse.
curling horses. Definitely horses.
So the best comment on that is Vince McMahon was so keen to have the WWE involved that he dialed them twice. Anyway, sorry. The thing is that literally afterwards, the funny part about this is they wanted to, according to the NFL's Ian Rappaport, the plan was to discuss charitable contributions and how the leagues will help those dealing with coronavirus. California Governor Gavin Newsom told reporters that he doesn't anticipate sports being played with fans in the stands by September in his state, contrary to Trump's reported comments. So, there's an opportunity. I think there's for sure going to be sports games before there are fans in the stadiums, right? And I think it could be a pretty long time. Until there is a vaccine, I don't know how you responsibly put fans in there. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
Adam, what if you just have, a hunch?
Well, no, I'm not.
What
talking
about that? You don't follow that?
I'm not getting into that. But what I will say is, if you're in public health, how do you recommend anything else? And I don't know the answer to that. Maybe there's someone in public health who listens to this show who could say, well, actually, here's how you do it, and here's how you. But we all know that the isolation right now is to flatten the curve, right? Mm-hmm. We know that once we are slowly allowed back out and into normal life, and it will happen in stages.
Yeah, it seems to be working here.
It seems to be working here. It seems to be working in California. We know that there will still be risk to certain people. We know that nursing homes, there's one I believe in Bracebridge right now that's had an outbreak. And
Bob Cajun.
And it's been tragic. We know that stuff, unfortunately, is going to continue to happen. So my question is, yes, you're allowed to, you can use public parks again. You can use things again. I think that access to seniors homes are going to be severely restricted for at least a couple years until they get this thing under control.
Next week is my grandfather's 95th birthday.
Dude, wow, really?
Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a Zoom call with him.
Great.
And he's going to have no idea what the hell is going on, but but at least we'll get to see him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's I think is going to it's the unfortunate part because it's those people that need social contact the most who are going to have to be isolated.
Yeah.
And
by September it still probably will be irresponsible of any government or business to put 20,000 people in one place at a time. And in the NFL's case, 50,000 people. It still probably won't be a good thing to allow that number of people into one building. So I don't see how it comes back.
This is going to affect us, even if this is solved, by Halloween, let's say, it's going to affect us for 2 years.
Yeah.
Just playing catch up as a society.
Yeah.
Totally.
The school year, the sports leagues, everything.
Yep. So what I think is going to happen here is these leagues are going to play. I just don't think there's going to be anyone in the stadium.
They were experimenting with it with the Chinese Basketball League, and they had to call it off because they had a mini bit of a re-outbreak within it. And they're worried about the testing kits, because you have to test every single player every single time they go into or onto the court or
Like
onto
every
the ice
day.
or whatever. So you
Every
have to be
day.
testing them all the time, and they can't take away that many testing kits at a time from society.
No,
And
no,
so
no.
that's the first problem with isolated games, because you still have to be testing these people. And then the second one is they tried other methods of testing, like it was temperature based. So if your temperature reaches a certain height, then you can't go out onto the field of play. And then that was still, they couldn't get to a percent where it was accurate enough to allow it. So there's
And
still
what if you're
complications.
asymptomatic?
Exactly. So there's still
Like-
complications doing isolated games.
Yeah, guys, like I, as someone who works in sports and depends on sports for a living, we can go without this for a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
We can go without this. Like,
I'll tell you, though, I do think it'll be back by September. I really do. I just don't think anybody will be allowed in the stadium. And I think the reason for that is at that point, you're probably past, in a lot of cases, and I hope this is the case, the modeling has shown, from what I've seen, that they'll be past the big scary mountain thick part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The big
Hopefully.
whoosh. And so it will be manageable. It doesn't make it fun. It doesn't make it safe, but it's manageable for the hospital system, which is the key. So if you can get it to that point and you have testing kits that are then being produced at a number which would be far higher than they are today, because there's a lot of factories and things being mobilized to do so.
That's a key in this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
If you get the production levels up to a point where everybody actually can get a test and they can test them more than once, then you could conceivably play. And you could bet that these leagues with all this money on the line and these billionaires going, oh, I'm losing money. And billionaires don't like losing money. I don't know if you've heard that. I would almost guarantee that they will do everything they can to find that. Now, you say, well, like, and again, a lot of people don't want to have the conversation or even talk about it right now. I think it's a conversation worth having. What are the conditions under which this is acceptable, right? And I think it has to be what Jesse just said there is such an important point. If you are taking tests away from society at large,
General population,
because there aren't enough tests, and there are not enough tests yet, then, and like Ontario's had to clear a backlog, and our testing is low. The states don't have enough. You've got to make sure that there's multiple tests for everyone, and then you can go forward with this. You got to make sure there's enough ventilators for everyone, and then you can go forward with this. You got to make sure that you've got the manufacturing power to sustain this. The same way that you can sustain a player breaking 2 or 3 sticks a game, you need that for ventilators and tests and things like that.
Yeah.
You needed to get to that level. Once they're at that level, though, I could see it where it's possible to play those games.
even ventilators feels like a step far too gone. Like you can't return to sports arenas until it's not just we have the infrastructure to handle people getting sick. It's got to be at a point where people are no longer getting sick from this because we've prevented it.
Well, I don't think that's going to be the case, Steve.
Yeah,
I don't think that'll be the case. And I think it's going to be
Yeah, on Friday, the Canadian government said it's going to be a 2-year issue.
Yeah.
That was their prediction. Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean isolation for 2 years, because you can't.
Yes.
The economies can't function that long like this. And people will. You're talking about in the States alone, 30 or 40 million people out of work. That's just not sustainable.
Like all at once.
Yeah, all at once.
Yeah.
No, they already are. It's like right
I
now. So that's not a sustainable thing. So what do you do? And I think what it is that had we been more prepared, you look at the way the South Koreans handled it. They're a great example. They had enough tests. They tested everybody, and they haven't had to go into social isolation. They haven't had the lockdown measures that Italy had. I think Iran had some pretty intense measures that New York is going through right now. They don't have the influx of new cases every single day that New York's going through. That's the key, right? It's having there are things that make their way through society all the time. The H1N1s and the viruses and all that. It's none of them ever overwhelm the hospital systems around the world all at once. That's the problem. And obviously people dying at the rate they're dying.
But is it a hoax?
Well,
Steve.
it was a liberal hoax from a couple weeks ago. But don't get into that. Let's not go there.
Adam, we got to ask the question. We got to ask the question.
We read out there was an Instagram post from Evangeline Lilly, who you would know from Lost, and she's in the Marvel movies and stuff like that. And she said our first week in isolation, we were talking about this on Virgin Radio, and she was, what did she say? She said she took a picture of like a teacup that she was drinking out of, and she's like, just having my morning tea. Dropped my kids at gymnastics camp or something, and like it's every election year there's something, and I was like, what? And she said, and I'm not going to let my personal freedoms get locked down by a government or whatever it was. And funny thing is, I'm pretty sure she's Canadian, so it was sort of odd to me. But beyond that, she came out and apologized for it later. But it just goes to show.
No, fuck you, Evangeline. You meant that shit. Fuck you. Don't apologize for it. I don't accept it. You meant that shit.
Well, yeah.
Keep it to yourself next time, asshole.
People do.
I don't care if you still think it. I know you still think it because you're a dumb fuck. But keep it to yourself next time. Yes, Adam?
Well, isn't it interesting that Deadline, I think, was reporting. Deadline's like the insider on a lot of movies. Deadline was reporting that her role was going to be really reduced in the new Marvel movies because they were so worried about her public perception after that one Instagram post.
Enjoy that shit sandwich, dummy. Eat up, bud. Eat up.
Anyway, so the NFL draft, though, and this is going to be really, really cool. Here's what I think we ought to do. We got to take any sports that's offered to us. We probably should have watched WrestleMania this weekend, but we didn't, so whatever. I didn't think
still got a chance tonight.
Yeah, still got the chance tonight. Although isn't it pay-per-view? Pay-per-view, right? I don't know if I have that channel.
No, if you have WWE Network, Adam.
Which is a Sportsnet product, I believe, in Canada, isn't it?
With your friend Carolyn Schved.
Ah, yes, correct. You could probably go back and watch yesterday's, I would assume.
Yeah, probably. So I'm sure there's lots of people ordering it today. But here's what I think we should do, because I believe the NHL is going to follow this. The NFL draft is at the end of the month, and we should do the ignorant guy's guide to the NFL draft.
Guys who have no idea who's getting drafted?
Yes.
Right.
So here's what I'm thinking. We take the next few weeks and we start to talk about the prospects involved as though we're experts, which is what most people on Twitter are doing anyway. And then we handle it like we would the NHL draft. Now, the NHL draft will probably happen by phone. The NFL draft absolutely is going to happen by phone. But I still think it'll be kind of neat. And I bet the NFL, they're going to have a broadcast. It's probably going to be on Zoom. And they're probably going to zoom in each player as they're drafted. And I can't wait for each guy. With the NFL draft, it's always like they're having a look at, there's always like the guy with his family, like behind the scenes. And then they see the sadness when he doesn't get drafted in the position he thought he was going to get drafted in. It'll be fun to have that over Zoom, I think. I think we need to cover the NFL draft and then cover the NBA draft, cover the NHL draft. It's going to be wicked. Why not? We got to take any sports we can get.
This is very important right now. All right, Adam, I know you're a big football fan. You're a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Jesse, I know you like
I'm a big
football.
Fantasy guy.
You're a fantasy guy.
I like players more.
Do you have a
than
team?
teams.
You don't have a team?
No, not anymore. No.
He just puts a picture of himself up and he's like, that's my fantasy.
Yeah. I used to be a big Rams fan, but then they moved to LA and I was like, this isn't fair. My team was in St. Louis.
Right.
So I gave up on them.
Who's my team? Based on what you know about me, who's my team?
The Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
They are
Oh, wow. Blue and white never win. I get it. I get it.
Or the Cleveland Browns,
I think more Cleveland
Shitty colors
Browns.
will never win.
I think more Cleveland Browns because, like, not that Detroit doesn't have hardcore fans. They do. But Detroit just loses and it's apathetic.
But Detroit has at least a history,
Yeah.
Cleveland
Brown
is
at
more
the same
sad.
time, I feel like you deserve to lose.
What?
If you wear orange and brown at the same time, I feel like you just deserve to lose. Nothing about that uniform, nothing about that color scheme screams victory.
The best diss I ever heard. I was at a bar once in Calgary, and I probably was like 23, 24 years old, and we were with a friend of ours, and she was an enormous NFL fan, just like Jesse, total fantasy nut. And I don't understand fantasy football. Every fantasy football thing I've ever joined in, I've lost enormously because I just don't have the attention span. And anyway, so some guy had hit on her, and she comes back to our table, and she's just shaking her head. And we said, "Did it go poorly?" And she's like, "Well, he was nice enough, but I don't know. He's like the Cleveland Browns, great jersey, terrible helmet."
Wow.
I was like, wow, amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Not bad.
Good. It was a good burn. She was.
Yeah.
She had a really good sense of humor. Anyway,
Damn.
the point is, I think you're Cleveland or Detroit. Although I would like, you know what? Let's leave it in the comments section. I want to know what NFL fans think. Steve cannot cheer for the Patriots. Cannot.
No.
Even without Tom Brady, he's not allowed to cheer for the Patriots.
No.
Not because Pete Blackburn wouldn't want you cheering for the Patriots, but they win too much, and you're not allowed. You have to.
No, and I don't want them to win. I cheered against the Patriots in the way that a lot of Americans cheered for the Raptors to beat Golden State.
Right.
Golden State always wins. Like, who's playing them? Toronto. Okay, I cheer for Toronto now.
There you go.
Like, that's me every Super Bowl except for this past one.
There's an enormous amount of literature on these players anyway, so I think it would be kind of fun to kind of go through, do a little bit of draft coverage for the NFL. We got to take any sports we can get at this point, and I'm desperate enough to try. Not because I don't love the NFL draft; it's amazing, but because I don't pretend to be even close to an expert on it. And
Adam, I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you trust that Steve will do any research for this?
No.
Because we have a long history of Steve not doing research for the podcast.
I am not doing that.
Okay, you're not going to read anything?
I'll participate in the draft, but like I'm not learning.
We should do. You know what we could do?
Someone on
I'd
Twitter
love
told me
that.
to not try anything new. All right.
It's true.
Oh man, you should listen. This is the time not to try anything.
Yeah, from deeply successful person I've never fucking heard of. Anyway,
Well, they're verified, man. Blue check mark.
Well,
That's
you know,
millionaire. That's what it means.
always
The
look around.
Did you know if you Google Adams Wild's name? Steve,
What?
did you know this? If you Google Adam's name, his net worth comes up as something like, what is it, $5 million?
86 million.
86. Oh, well, $86
I don't know why.
million.
Wow.
I could tell you it's not even a half of a percentage of that, but hey,
Money
even
laundering
half of
in
86.
Barbados. Is that the name of is that the name of the
No, I would be smarter about it. Barbados, you can't launder money in, so I would be a
Oh,
dummy if I
you
did.
would know. You sound
I
like Carol
would've- yeah,
Baskins.
checked into it.
You know, I don't know how to kill a man. You know, you just use sardine oil.
You know, I suppose what we would use is goddamn Carol Baskin.
Adam talking about, hey, that's not a good way to launder money. You know what I would use?
We had a listener who was very upset after our last episode.
I can't imagine.
And she was very upset that with our Tiger King coverage, we did not talk about their wedding photos. Carol Baskin and her husband.
And she's right.
And she's right. She's so right. What the hell were we thinking? I'm so sorry.
And that was a classic. Adam wins 99 out of 100 battles, but that was the one he lost where he goes, and we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take him down too many paths, and he's usually able to rein me in. You forgot that one. You left that little straggler.
So we did mention it, though.
We
were going to
mentioned
get
it,
to it.
which is worse. It would have been better if we didn't mention it at all. But we mentioned it.
Can I just ask? I don't care who wears the leash. Guy, girl, girl, guy, whatever your pronouns are. At what point in your relationship with somebody do they broach the subject of you wearing a leash and a leopard print outfit?
Fred Flintstone outfit.
And think there's a probable, because if they're going to ask you, they probably are assuming it's kind of like asking for marriage. It's like, I assume they're going to say yes. There's a good probability they're going to say yes to this. At what point in the relationship, how many months in, how many days in, how many weeks in do you think before she was saying, hey, this leash looks awful good on you?
Oh God.
Like, how long did it take Carol Baskin?
No.
What's his name? I forget his name. How long did it take? Jeff.
No.
They're all Jeff.
Her husband's name?
Jim.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which is the one who got eaten, maybe, and the guy who's alive, who then they look the exact same.
I don't know.
Don Lewis was her millionaire husband.
Right.
The guy who's missing.
Who's she married to now? Howard
Howie.
Baskin.
So they're sitting on the couch in their cat house because there's cats everywhere. You even saw the chairs had cats on them, right?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
When they were watching themselves on YouTube.
There wasn't a thing in there without cats on it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So they're
It's
watching.
literally, if anyone's seen the show, I think you should leave. It's like the Garfield house, except not in a sketch comedy show.
Good
All
reference. Deep
All
reference. Good reference. But they're watching their own YouTube videos, and she says to him,
Oh no.
or does she yell from the bathroom and say, "Here, kitty, kitty," to Howard?
Oh.
Crawl in, and then she puts the leash on him, and it happens organically. Or is it? You think she broached?
There's
him
a
with that,
photo. So they had to call in a photographer.
Oh.
She one day had a box sitting on his desk, and she said, "Howard, honey, kitty cat, I got you a present." And he opens it up, and it's a long leash with a nice studded collar. And she says, "That's for you, honey. And I hired a photographer, and he's coming on Saturday." And Howard says, "Yes, ma'am."
No, she was standing. She was standing on the breach of the kitchen, just holding up a little sardine like this. And in her other hand, she's holding the leash, and she just goes, "Here, kitty, kitty." And he came over, and then you got a wedding photo shoot.
There you go.
She says, "I got an extra drum of oil in the back if you want me to use it."
Oh,
I can't.
It'd be a shame if you woke up covered in sardine oil.
Yeah. That's what they're just okay. Fine. I'll take out the trash again. Hey, you smell fish in here? Well, I got it. He doesn't even put his shoes on. Just runs up and grabs it from her. No. I got it, honey. You sit down. You had a tough day.
Yeah, that could be bad. But yeah, no, we let you down, and I'm really, really sorry about that. So, the next thing I wanted to talk about is it has to do with a couple of cool shout outs. The first thing, it goes to the Senators. Now, I question anything Eugene Melnyk does, but I also believe even when questionable people do good things, you still have to say, all right, they're questionable and maybe their motives are too, but still we'll shout it out. The Sens are offering their medical facilities to the Ontario government for COVID-19. A club spokesperson said Friday the Senators owner Eugene Melnyk approached the province earlier this week and is awaiting a reply. So this is why this got out, because obviously they made the request, and then they said, but we're still waiting for a reply. And you can understand how maybe the government might be busy with some things right now. But the offer comes with the potential use of 17 unleased private suites inside Ottawa's rink. So that means there are 17 unleased private suites
for use.
I would assume that. So the ones that are leased, I'm assuming they're not going to use, but I would assume that they'd be used for like rooms for either people to sleep over or people to triage, put somebody in there. I don't know.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, they're trying.
Yeah. They're trying.
Anything.
Exactly.
Anything.
Now, I still question even how this got out. Like, why did the Senators feel like they needed to release this information? But I feel like Eugene Melnyk's trying to get a publicity win. And hey, if his publicity win benefits the public, perfect. Who cares?
Yeah,
Good.
So I shouted out a beer company recently because they converted their distillery to make hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And someone was like, well, I mean, that's just them being smart business people. I mean, people aren't buying as much whatever. And I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Right.
I don't care. Like, it's okay. At the end
Take
of the day,
hand sanitizer, man.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
And it's for people. It's for like health professionals, frontline workers in Durham. I don't give a shit what their motives are.
Mm-hmm.
I assume they were good. You assume they're bad. Either way, they get the hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Well,
along those lines, the worst thing going on Twitter right now is the people who whip out their calculators when a billionaire donates money.
Yep.
They're like, oh, Jeff Bezos donated $100 million this morning. Like,
that's like a quarter.
That's like if I donated 25 cents. Yeah, it's $100 million.
And
Comrade Steve agrees with those people.
That's stupid. Tell me why you agree with that.
Okay.
How much did you donate, Steve?
Not $100 million.
Have you donated anything?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I don't have a press release every time I do it.
Okay.
Like, no, okay. Okay, two things can be true. Donating $100 million fucking rules.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon should pay tax.
Not the same.
Those things aren't related.
They are not related. Both are true.
Yeah, both
Unrelated.
are
You don't have
true.
to, but you don't have to. That doesn't mean just because the American government is set up right now to not have corporations like that pay tax, because that's what it is. It's their tax code that's preventing this.
Yeah.
Just because they have a tax code set up like that, and I agree with you 100%, Amazon should be paying tax. So should Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's like, I should be paying tax, but I'm not.
So should the Church of Scientology.
So totally,
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Those things aren't a private individual donating $100 million has nothing to do with the taxing of a public company.
And you know what I would say?
okay.
If the Church of Scientology gave $100 million to a local hospital, I'd say good on you, as long as it didn't come with any strings.
It's a weird time. I mean, people are going, oh, fuck. I kind of like the things Doug Ford is saying.
You got, well, of course.
It's a weird time.
That doesn't mean you'd ever vote for him. That doesn't mean you
ever,
support his
ever.
policy. I'm not a fan of the policies that our government has instituted recently in Ontario. I do think he's done a good job.
He's talking like an adult.
Issue. And so with
Do you know?
hold on, with this
Yeah, sorry.
with this sort of argument, Steve, and this is what's important.
Mm.
$100 million is $100 million in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, and I know there are going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on this. I don't care. You have to just say, listen, I might not like this person. I might not like their policies. I might not like the way they run their business. But in some small way, and it doesn't matter how small you make it, in your argument, in your 280 character tweet, they still did something. And what I would say is we all can contribute in different ways. We don't have enormous amounts of money to donate to the public good. Jeff Bezos does. The best thing we can do is stay home. The best thing Jeff Bezos can do is stay home and donate. He probably could donate more, much more, and he probably will. But the idea that you should diminish somebody just because they didn't give as much as you think they could or should is a ridiculous one. He gave $100 million, and I know he's the richest man on the planet, but $100 million is $100
Also, he's
million.
not the richest man on the planet.
Or he's third.
That's
I don't know.
No. Even if he was, well, that number is based on like stocks.
Yeah.
Like that's not. You don't know how much cash this individual has to just throw away and give to a government.
Yeah.
Like that's
I just
not.
think
You're sitting there on your phone, like you don't know what's happening. All you saw was a man donate $100 million, and you decided to turn that into a negative thing.
If you gave $100 to a charity, and you made $1 million, or you made $1 million a year, just say you did that. You gave $100 to one particular charity. Would it mean any less to that charity if you were worth $1 million? Does that $100 all of a sudden mean less to that charity? It might be a small thing for you, but it's a big thing for them. That's the point of giving.
Right.
That's what giving is.
I feel like Jeff Bezos is a little bit different for the most part. Like I've seen like a lot of athletes make donations, and everyone's like, this is the amount of money this athlete's made in his career. And I'm like, all right, fuck off. Like come on.
Yeah.
It's 100 G's. Well, this guy donated 500 G's. Well, fucking good for them.
Right.
That was their choice.
Maybe that person can do that.
Yeah, it's wonderful that they did that. I just but then for Bezos, it's a more complicated conversation about the
there are
tax code and all that shit.
There are issues with the way Amazon is run. There's
Mm-hmm.
issues with the way the manufacturing's run. There's issues with the way that they ship things. I get all that. But one does not mean the other, right?
Right.
And that's the thing. And people make that connection where there is none. And it's sort of like $100 million is still $100 million. Take it. And yes, we need to solve all the issues. Amazon paying a living wage being key among them.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing that needs to happen. But right now, pandemic sort of takes center stage.
Yeah.
And I'll take the money. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And tell me this, when you tweet something like that, what good have you done?
Well,
What does that how does that further the
you're letting
conversation?
everyone know you're great.
I just don't know how it furthers the conversation.
Also,
Yeah.
How does it make anything
next
better?
next tweet is don't try anything different.
That's what that tweet is. Don't try
Yeah.
it. Don't even, you know what? You should have stayed home, Jeff. Don't donate the money.
Right.
Donate nothing. Like, come
'Cause
on.
that
I'm not
person-
licking the guy's boots, but I also think like it's still $100 million, man.
Yeah. That person sat there, they saw the headline, they said, oh, $100 million. And then they go to Google, how much is what's his net worth? Oh, I'm going to pull up my calculator. Oh, that's a percentage of this. I'm going to tweet this. You should give more. No, how about that's different issue if you have problems with the individual. Go attack those things, not the $100 million that he donated. Don't attack that part.
If I'll put it this way, if Trump donated $100 million from Trump Enterprises, which he has not done, I would say, great, do a better job, but still great.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, he won't. Of course he won't. Come on. But the point is, I would still
that'd just
say,
be him giving
you.
back the golf money.
Maybe.
But that's another conversation.
But
you guys loving this? You loving this shit?
You just give where you can. Now, I also want to do a quick shout out to Jack Eichel and Bauer, because last week we were talking about how Bauer was trying to get the word out in the United States that they want to do PPE, like the personal protective gear. Specifically, it basically looks like a band around your head with like a longer plastic visor. Like they just extended the length of the visor so it's a full face shield. So Jack Eichel purchased 5,000 of these masks.
Wow.
Gave them to hospitals around Western New York. Now, if you were to take his $10 million salary and you were to calculate how much these cost, that is like
That's good. That's good, Adam.
But Jack Eichel deserves a shout out. 5,000 of these.
That's hilarious.
We went a little hard then.
That is the dark comedy I'm here for, Adam.
More than 100,000, according to Emily Kaplan, have been ordered across Canada. But again, Bauer's trying to get the message out, like, hey, can we, we want to help the states too. We can help. And so Jack Eichel, shout out to him, 5,000 masks donated from Bauer. And I believe that, those are the great thing about those face shields is they're reusable, right? The masks are great, but they have, they're made of paper. They have an expiry date. Whereas
I think they're supposed to be single use.
They are, right? But they're being told to reuse them right now. So I think that's great. And that's sort of one of those things that, they can disinfect those so easy. They can do it with you can disinfect those with every patient. And that's the kind of stuff that makes things healthier and better. And it's especially for a Sabres team that has had a pretty rough 5 years. Nice little community shout out with Jack. I mean, we talked about how much the C on the jersey matters. That's where a C on the jersey really matters. Yeah. It's a community thing.
The kind of guy who wasn't deterred by having to delete his Instagram and Twitter because people are assholes. Yeah. He just decided, I'm going to be a great guy anyway.
Now we're going to do an actual hockey chat here about a Leafs thing. Was
that our shout outs?
No, but you can. Do you want to shout out?
Okay. If we're doing shout outs now, I'd like to shout out a place.
Do it, man.
I want to shout out A+ Sushi. It's this place in Parkdale in downtown Toronto. It's this small little sushi place, and I always go there, and they're still trying to stay open. I know it's a very tiny business, like they're on a corner and like not a great area, and they're still trying to get business. So they have a thing where if you bring your own container for takeout, they'll give you 10% off because they're just trying to salvage anything they can at this time. So yeah, you bring your own Tupperware or whatever, and they'll put your sushi in your Tupperware so they don't have to use any more of their styrofoam and all that stuff. So yeah, and I love their food. And we do a thing every week on Virgin Radio on Mondays where we order from a local food establishment in our area just so we can support local business. And we'll order from there tomorrow. I'm going to post about just give them a little shout out because I want them to stay open. I want them at the end of this for them to still be there because I really enjoy their service and it's great food. So yeah, shout out A+ Sushi in downtown.
So before you get into it, Steve, I want to actually see if this is a podcast thing we can do as well. Because on the show, it was sort of like, how can we help the community? There's not much we can do. I can't manufacture Bauer PPE stuff in my living room, right? You can't make masks. So what do you do?
Are you sure? My wife has a Cricut.
So she can make something.
Do you need us to cut out letters for you for something?
Can we print something on a T-shirt? Can we print it on a T-shirt?
We can put it on a T-shirt. She's even got like the wood connection for it. We can do like little bits of wood.
You show up at the hospital with a bunch of letters. How can I help?
And I helped.
Just in case you guys needed any stationary products or whatever. No, but why did I stop? Why did I want to say something?
You can put labels on the sanitizer. Sorry.
You were saying that was a thing we do on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So
Jesse mentioned it, but I want to reinforce this. Monday, we just decided that Monday would be our order in night. And the reason was weekends are toughest for restaurants right now because that's where they make their money. And Mondays are usually a slower night for a restaurant anyway, but we just thought, let's do Monday. Here's what I'm ordering in tonight. And then we do a post about it. So last week I did Alouette Burger. Jesse, I forget what you did.
School in Liberty
School.
Village.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Shout out LibVig.
Out in LibVig. Yeah. Actually, you know what would be a fun thing that we should go back into is the Liberty Village Facebook page.
I should check it out.
I bet there's some stuff happening there
100%.
right now.
It's just people narking about social
Oh,
distancing.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
we also
Sorry, I should say narking that isn't actually narking.
Oh, yeah.
It's
This guy
violations of social distancing that are not.
Right.
100%.
100%.
So
Look at these two people walking. That's my mom.
If you're a podcast listener, and if you have it within the budget, because I understand for a lot of people, it's just not the time. But if you have it within the budget to order in once a week or even once a month, we post about it on Mondays. Now, you can order in any day that you want, but if you could join us on Mondays and just post about it, tag us in it. Steve, Jesse, and I, maybe Jackson, TJ on Virgin, that I think it's important that the local businesses know that we're still here. And
Yes.
local businesses are just like us. They don't have they always tell you that, have 6 months in the bank. Most people do not have 6 months in the bank.
Who the
Most
fuck-
businesses,
yeah,
it's just
who
not
has that?
affordable. Exactly.
Jeff
So-
Bezos does.
Bezos
I looked up his net worth.
Okay, but he does though. Okay, but there.
So the thing is,
Hey, Jesse.
if we start this trend,
Oh,
you guys
maybe-
Are you? I thought you were pushing me.
other side,
No.
Jesse.
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Did I do it?
Cool.
It's
you guys did
flipped.
it. Oh,
My
is it
camera's
flipped? Oh, is it flipped?
Yeah, so like your view right now of you is
You
flipped.
guys just
Yeah, so I don't know.
so.
Wait till this is over.
I know it's going to be a while, man. Get used to it.
Yeah, sorry.
If there is a restaurant in your area that's local, so we had a bit of a snafu on the air on Monday. It's one of the funniest moments I've ever had on the air. So we all go through our restaurant. So Jesse mentions his, I mentioned mine, Jax mentions hers, and TJ's like, because it's local business. TJ's like, well, I got this great breakfast place in the neighborhood.
Oh no.
And so we lean in and we're like, and there's a lot of options where he lives. He lives down at like Church in front. And they're great spots, a lot of local places. And we're kind of like, okay. And he's like, and they make delicious this, delicious that. And we're going, oh, wow. Okay. How come we've never gotten an invite? We should go to brunch for this place on a Saturday when things get back to normal. Because we do that from time to time. And he's like, expectation.
And then Jackson's like, I was going to the Expectation website, and the first thing they asked you is, which country do you live in? They have hundreds of locations around the world.
Oh my God,
UAE, America, South America, like they've got everything. So,
oh my God, that's
anyway,
so
Great
funny.
local place.
try to make sure it's local. I understand because corporations are going to have an easier time surviving this. Massive mega corporations are going to have an easier time surviving this than.
Oh God,
Yeah,
Don't
that's
tell
so
us you're
mom and
trying to
pop.
support your local Starbucks.
Right. So if you could post about it, shoot a video in your living room, just say, we ordered this. Here's why. I love their food. If you ever come here or if you ever order from them, you should order this. That's the kind of stuff that's going to make a difference. And if we can kind of get a wave started here, and I don't mean this to be a movement, but it would be nice locally if we could just at least know that people are trying. Anything that brings us together at this point means something. And so this would mean something, I know, specifically to restaurant owners who, at the best of times, have one of the hardest gigs in the world. Running a restaurant is, as a business, I don't know why anyone gets into it.
I've never watched a cooking show and been like, this looks fun. This looks
No.
like a good idea.
Well, and like even like running a restaurant is so hard. I actually, one of my friends, he was part of a big corporation, and they had one restaurant outside of this corporation that they owned. And he said, he was one of the higher ups there, and he's a great friend. He's a great guy. And he's like, I've had a lot of challenges in my day. Nothing has challenged me like this restaurant. Nothing. And it's a great restaurant. And you think, what could be so bad? It's a tough gig and a tough business. So shout out to all those restaurants, and we'll obviously have our post up tomorrow. Now, I want to ask you guys about Nic Robertson.
Well, Here, can I do a couple quick shout outs?
Oh yeah, quick shout out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
So a couple Durham places, or at least East Durham. There's the Brock House.
Mhm.
We've ordered from them a couple times. We've ordered from them hot.
What do we get? What do we get? If
Oh,
we go
boy.
there, what do we get?
Short rib.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
What
see
about
their-
the tall rib for tall guys?
Jesse, I bet if you asked for it, they could accommodate you there, pal.
Thank you.
We what did I order? They got burgers. They got all kinds of good stuff. Lamb shank. And what's great is so you can order hot or frozen. So they'll give you a full frozen meal. We got the lamb shank, and it's like what are the odds this is going to be as good as it usually is? It's bloody frozen. It was spectacular. So the
Really?
Brock House, spectacular. The Brock House, Berry Hill Food Company in Oshawa. It's my favorite breakfast place, and they're still doing food, but I think it's like whatever they get. But I feel like they're one of those restaurants that are like, here's what we have this week. So they're really cool. And you don't need to be local to East Durham for this one. I want to shout out a friend who's making some pretty cool content. He's going by Big Red online. His YouTube channel is Crushability with Big Red. His Instagram is Big Red _official, and so is his Twitter, Big Red Official. He's got a giant red beard. He looks like Yukon Cornelius. You can't miss him. And he's a bartender who obviously not doing a ton of bartending right now, but he's got this really cool idea where if you send him a picture of just the booze you have at home that you're not doing anything with on Instagram or Twitter, he'll have a gander at it and he'll tell you some fancy cocktails that you can make.
Cool.
If
What
he
a
was at
great
bar.
idea.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
and he's I think he just started. Yeah, like he just posted yesterday how to make a gin daisy, how to make a margarita with Big Red. So he's just posting these little videos that are based on people going, here's what I got in my house. And his videos have like under 100 views each. So let's support him. Crushability with Big Red _official. It's pretty cool. And I'm going to be doing something with him coming up soon.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Dude, wicked. Some actual hockey for a little bit here, because we're rolling in and out of it. Luke Fox wrote a great article on the 4th of April about Nic Robertson. And Nic Robertson obviously had an incredible season. He was 5 goals away from 60 when the season was shut down. It looks like he was going to have 60 goals in something like 47, 48 games, something like that. Like crazy. And it's interesting to read the Kyle Dubas quote on this, because first off, no prospect at the age of 19 is allowed to join the Marlies if they're coming out of the OHL.
Unless they're from Europe.
Yes, unless they're from Europe.
Yes.
Which is the stupidest rule. In the history of dumb rules, this is the dumbest.
Yeah.
So he either goes to the Leafs or he goes to the OHL.
Yeah, you can't go to the Marlies. There's no guise of they're doing this for the protection of young players, because if the young player is from Sweden, it doesn't matter. And you get a guy like Rasmus Sandin who played in the OHL like Nic Robertson, but because he's got a different passport than him, he's cool.
Right.
And Nic Robertson, not Canadian, it's American. So it's like it's this arbitrary North American versus. It's stupid.
It's stupid. It's an old rule, and they're talking about, I think, raising the draft age to 19 anyway, and then allowing for this rule to go away. That's a different conversation for a different time. I don't know anything about whether it should be 18 or 19, so I don't know. But Kyle Dubas's quote on this is interesting, and he said, looking back on last season and reflecting on it, I think we should have probably given him more of a look in training camp and probably rewarded him with an exhibition game or two to see how he did there. But he went back to Peterborough, had a great attitude, and he was an excellent player for them right away. Now, I think you got to remember, too, Nic Robertson is how big, Steve?
Oh, boy, I got to look it up. He's not big at all. He's,
right.
I want to say 5'10", $160.
Okay, so you don't need to look it up, because who's the coach who is the coach of the Leafs in September last year?
Mike Babcock.
Is Mike Babcock going to put Nic Robertson in the lineup?
No. I'm sure there were guys he did put in the lineup. He did kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Well, Jason Spezza. He said it's disappointing. Right. Of course. It's disappointing, of course, that he won't be able to see how far he could have run it up in regards to chasing 60 goals. but I think he's more focused and one of the more focused and hardworking prospects that I've seen in my time in hockey. Big praise. I think he knows the areas that he needs to continue to work on, and he's got a great read on that. So if you're the Leafs, and let's go pie in the sky here, and let's say the season starts on time. Doesn't have to be fans in the stadium.
The world I want to live in. Yep.
But everything goes to plan where you say, forget forget this season, the 2019-2020 season, it's over. And I think you sort of have to at this point.
It's done.
It is done. Let's say training camp starts in September. No fans in the stadium, but Nic Robertson, noted forward, is good enough to make this team. Do you, A, let him, B, let him for 9 games and see how it works out, or C, say, you know what, you're still too small, let's put you back in the minors? Because the team is already fast, already kind of small, already very deep at forward. What do you do?
It's a tough one because it's the hardest thing to do is score goals. And that's all this guy does. That's all this guy does. He's crazy good at it. And I shouldn't say it's all he does, because he's got this bomb on the power play. He's got the left-handed bomb that he's basically already got what Matthews just developed, which is a crazy left-handed slap shot on the power play. But he was also killing penalties for the Petes this season. When I saw him, I was like, what the hell is he doing out there? Oh my God, he does everything, this guy. And, Simeon Duragachintsev should be given some credit for Nic Robertson's performance, because he basically sacrificed goal scoring. I think he had like 10 goals or 12 goals because he just spent the whole season passing Nic Robertson, because of course you should. You should be. And God bless SDA, but all of a sudden Nic Robertson goes to the Leafs, and he's playing with even more experienced, more gifted playmakers than SDA. Oh, it's a fun little dream.
Well, that becomes the question, is because Nic Robertson's a left winger. And I'm not sure. Well, he's a left winger and a center. And part of me wonders, could that be the answer next to Tavares?
Oh, heavens to Betsy.
Right? Because then that allows you to push Kerfoot back. Now, we know the Leafs are going to have to trade a couple of guys. There's Kerfoot, Kapanen, and Janssen all making around the same amount of money.
Yeah, if
somebody's going to have to move.
If Robertson makes the team, one of them, like we keep talking about, oh, maybe they got to go. If Robertson makes the team, one of them has to go. Has to go.
Right. So there's that happening. And it's also it's a little bit frustrating that that rule exists, that you're either in the NHL or you're in the OHL,
it's
because
dumb.
that's not that's not in the player's best interest. It's in his best interest to go to the Marlies and develop there, and develop some confidence, and develop penalty killing and all the other things that he's going to need when he comes to the NHL, when they're going to need him for. So one idea I had, and this sounds a bit crazy, and I don't know if it's even possible, but the Leafs have NHL, AHL, ECHL. Is there an opportunity one day in the future to implement their system? And they don't necessarily need to be the full owner of these teams. But what would stop the Leafs from buying a Swedish Elite League team or a Swiss Elite League team and saying, okay, our European players go here, the ones that want to stay home? Because I know that like Liljegren considered staying in Rögle. What would stop them from sending a guy like Nic Robertson over there to develop in their system over over a couple of years, and then coming over, or over 1 year? If the Leafs owned another team in Europe that's comparable to the AHL, I think the Swedish Elite League's pretty close, right? I got it.
Djurgården. Djurgården is the team that Matt Sundin co-owns.
Can I tell you why this won't work?
Tell me.
Why?
Because the kid from Forest Hill isn't going to go over there and play hockey. He'd rather go play. I'm just saying from wherever. Right. The kid from wherever, Ontario, wherever BC, isn't going to want to go over to Sweden and play hockey.
Oh.
He'd rather do the OHL or whatever, or Western Hockey League for a year and then go play in the AHL.
But Matthews is like the only one, man.
So Matthews did. But okay, so you
or the forerunner.
So here are your options. You go back to the OHL and you make your $200 a week and you stay in a boarding house,
Yeah.
or you go to Europe, you make $500,000 and you develop under the team system.
It's still
You're going to Europe.
No, I think the hockey
You're going to
players, they're staying here and they're playing in the OHL. They're doing what they know. They're staying in the country where they know where their family is, and then they're gonna play that year and then try and make the NHL.
Well, what if we made it easy on you and we give you a really nice house in Sweden that your family can come stay in? Matthew's mom and sister moved to Switzerland with him. He made $1 million.
And
Now,
Robertson's parents aren't from Peterborough; they're from friggin' California.
Yeah, he's already been without his parents since he was 15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Adam,
the difference.
Oh, Adam, you're speaking my language.
I'm just saying.
This is a great idea.
I just don't think it's not happening for any of those top prospects. They're not willingly doing that.
Why not?
It's just
Europe.
there's
awesome.
There's just there's nothing that's shown me in the 100 years of hockey player that these guys would make that decision at the highest level, at that level of player. I don't think they would do that. They would just follow the path.
Let's get around this rule. Let's do the Leaf thing and spend our way out of trouble. We can't spend it on the cap.
There's a reason those guys are the anomalies. There's a reason, like in basketball, the Ball family going over to Australia and skipping NCAA.
But those players weren't even good enough, right? Like,
no, his other son's gonna go like top 5 in the draft.
Okay. LaMelo's the one. Is LaMelo the good one?
Yes, I don't know their names. So
yeah,
my bad. But there's
a reason.
And there's a reason that Matthews is the only example we got in recent memory. I just think there's no way these guys are willingly going over to Europe.
So Jesse, you're telling me
land where they don't speak.
If I gave you $500,000, you wouldn't spend a year in Sweden.
Also, I'm not
18.
At 18?
At 18,
What?
$500,000?
I got my own place. I got $500,000. I get to play hockey for a living.
I don't think that's possible.
Yes, it is. That's what they got paid. I mean, Matthew's got $1 million.
And then he's allowed to be under contract on your team?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a rule.
He doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be.
What? So have you drafted this player?
So you've drafted the player and you say, listen, here's the offer from our European club. It's an affiliate, but it's our European club. And here's our way to get you into a better development situation than the OHL. Nic Robertson's great, and the OHL is great. But the OHL, there's an expiry date for players like Nic Robertson, who are elite-level players. Why wouldn't the Leafs invest in a team? You know, they don't have to make money.
I think you're breaking 100 NHL rules.
Why not? But it's great. It's great. Roger Nielsen revolutionized hockey by consistently breaking the rules.
Okay. So that's me. I am hockey's revolutionary. I am the revolutionary the NHL needs. Leafs can hire me anytime.
Gary Bettman would be at your door, banging it down and yelling at you.
Good.
Lou Lamoriello would call me and be like, "Stop stealing my moves.
Make him write the rule. Make him write the rule."
I'm sure it's in there.
The Sean Avery rule.
No,
the Sean Avery rule. We never thought we'd have to write it, but we do.
There's none of this is happening.
I think it's going to happen. I think the Leafs are going to hear this and they're like, "Oh my God, that wild guy's a genius."
You think David Branch is going to let this happen? You think David Branch is going to be like, "Yeah, just take my best player"?
Sorry. But what's David Branch going to do to the Toronto Maple Leafs?
He's going to...
The Leafs are worth more than David Branch's league.
Yeah, but he's going to call up Bettman and be like, "I'm unhappy." And
Bettman's going to say, "They're the Leafs.
I don't think
they fund us, man."
So
I'm sorry. When were the Leafs not the NHL's bank account? Like it's crazy. But if you listen, I think it's a plausible, and in fact, it might even be smart. You talk about the local element, Jesse. Talk about these kids that have to come all the way over from Sweden, Finland, Germany, Austria. Why couldn't they have a development system in Europe? So they're a 90-minute plane ride away from home. Wouldn't that be better for the kids?
Adam might have a great idea for the wrong reason.
Why is that the wrong reason?
No,
I didn't.
Reason. I'm trying to build a bridge here, guys. Let me.
Okay.
So Adam's got a great idea. The basis of it was, let's get Nic Robertson playing in a professional league instead of the OHL. Yes. However, the Leafs have enough European guys in their system that having a European team, it could be centralized, could be in the Swiss league, or like you said, the Swedish league. They have enough European players that's actually a really interesting idea. It's a really interesting idea. Mm-hmm. They already have an ECHL team that they run like an American League team.
And they own part of it, don't they?
I think they own the whole thing.
The whole thing.
I think they own the whole thing. So it's, if you could afford it, which I'm sure they could, why not do that? And also, it's not a charity. It's a professional hockey team. Fans are going to go to the games. It could be a money-making venture.
Well, especially in the
if every now and then you can use it to send a gifted player like
Nic Robertson
rhymes with Nic Robertson. Adam's got a great idea.
Well, and
I just don't understand.
Beyond that, let's talk about what the Leafs want. The Leafs, like the Yankees, like the Patriots, like many other teams, and I'm not putting the Leafs and the Yankees and Patriots on the same level because the Leafs need to win a lot more.
Right?
They are the same.
But what are the Yankees and the Patriots in terms of branding?
Not as good as the Leafs.
Not even close. The Leafs want to be a global brand.
Navy blue. Oh, okay.
They want to be a global brand. They want to be Real Madrid. They want to be Manchester United. They want to be New York, the Yankees, that sort of thing. That's their goal. Now, they haven't accomplished it yet. They want to do that with the Raptors.
You do that by winning. Yeah.
But if you can spread a little propaganda along the way, like, I don't know, owning an SHL team that happens to be the best team, and you pile in the money and you pile in people in the seats and you use it as a bit of a lost leader, well, why not?
You've had a lot of good ideas over the years, Adam. You've had a lot of great ideas.
And this is my greatest. Thank you.
If you don't love Adam, you're
not
freaking
landing.
If you don't love Adam, you are dead wrong. Now, I will throw out something as devil's advocate, because a lot of people say, there's no such thing as an overdeveloped player. Mm-hmm. So I'm an undersized second round pick. I scored 51 goals. Mm-hmm. Then 51 goals again, got drafted, then scored 65 goals. Then my first season in the NHL after that, 52 points as a rookie, 76, and then a disappointing 45 in 70 games in my third season. That's Alex DeBrincat. You want Alex DeBrincat? I do.
He scored, what did he score? 40 goals in his first year? Something like that?
He scored 28 and then 41.
41.
Which, he's disappointing on a Blackhawks team that stinks. Like, what do you want from the guy, man? He's good. He's not in world beater territory yet. And he was still on pace for scoring over 20 goals in his third year in the league as a second round pick. Not bad. So it wouldn't ruin Nic Robertson. And the other thing is you could use it to develop another part of his game. Like, one thing I think the Leafs did or tried with Kadri is, there was a debate heading into his final year in junior. Should we have him make the team or have him go back? He was a playmaker, and they sent him back to junior and told him to focus on his goal scoring. And then he did. So, it was part of his development. The problem was when he got to the AHL, he was pretty useless defensively and still in pretty crappy shape. But he's still turned into Nazem Kadri, right?
I wonder if Nic Robertson, they send him back and say, work on whatever it is to be a center. I'm sure they already told him this. But whatever it is to be an NHL center, because what you don't want going up against Patrice Bergeron shorthanded in Game 7 is Zach Hyman. And not even two need Zach Hyman. One needs Zach Hyman. You want a penalty killer who can win a fucking faceoff.
Yeah.
And if he's a water bug type player, that's where I want him. Not that I don't want him to score goals too. I want him to do that. But I want a guy who can win some damn faceoffs.
And the Peterborough Petes are listening to this right now. Like, yeah, what if he became a center? Like, what if he came back for another full? Like, of course they want him back. So actually, damn, Adam's coming up with nothing but good ideas right now. Buy a European team. I'm into it. And if Nic Robertson goes back to the OHL next year, why not convert him to a center?
Sure. Why not? He does play center a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought he played defense.
That's what I was told by a noted hockey analyst.
This show is big on switching his position. Huge.
Goaltending. Yeah, I think it's important that he learns how to play center. I think, I don't understand. I guess there are certain players that just straight up don't want to play center. I think Jeff O'Neill's talked about that, where he's like, I don't want that kind of responsibility.
Yeah. That's very on brand.
But if you were to look at, say, Kasperi Kapanen, and if you were to tell Kasperi Kapanen after the Phil Kessel trade 4 years ago, whenever it was, listen, I know you probably don't want this sort of responsibility in your life, but In about 5 years, you're going to be making $4 million a season. Pretty good, right? What if I told you if you played a little harder and learned to win some faceoffs, you could make $7 million? Because that's what a second line center in the NHL is going to make. $6 or $7 million now, right? Usually. Is that unfair?
Yeah.
Kevin Hayes.
So if you could almost double it, I think what's Kapanen at 3.5?
Something like that. Boys, I'm going to suffer kidney failure.
Steve's back from the bathroom.
Yeah, sorry.
We had a bathroom break, yes.
Had a good pee-pee.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you were to tell somebody, hey, if you learned these extra little skills here and you can do them at an NHL level, you can make double what you're making.
And that is basically what they did with Kapanen. They're like, we know you like scoring goals and all that. You got to you have the skill set to become an elite penalty killer.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did, and he's done well. But what if they'd said, why don't we throw in a little bit of center ice too? Don't tell me everybody's like, well, maybe he doesn't have the skills. I think if you got NHL skills, you can pick up face-offs, can't you? You can pick up. That's just grinding it out.
Face-offs are one of those things that like almost no one comes into the league good at them.
No.
Like even Crosby was bad at them.
Because you don't face that level of competition until you reach the NHL level. So you can't really practice face-offs to get good enough because your competition just isn't NHL level because you're not at the NHL. I think it was just the basic philosophy behind it.
Alan McCauley said something really funny last night during the watch party. He said, for whatever reason, Russian centers used to just pick him apart because he, like a pitcher in baseball, I guess just had tells. And they would just look at his hands and be like, and like one game, he's like, I went 0 for 11 against Igor Larionov.
Amazing.
I was like, who did you never want to go up against in the faceoff dot? He was like, Igor Larionov. Oh, wow. Really? Any Russian?
Interesting.
Because they would just clean him out.
Yeah.
Is Igor Larionov, and then we're going to the press conference after this really short answer, best second line, third line center in history?
Probably another Russian, Evgeny Malkin, or Mark Messier.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Yeah. But like Mark Messier on any team at that time would have been a first liner. Like I count him as he was an elite. Malkin's an elite. Igor Larionov was not elite, but boy was he the most reliable guy on the Red Wings all the time. Always played well.
Criminally underrated just because we didn't even mention him. Ron Francis.
Oh, crazy!
Yeah. The Penguins are spoiled rotten.
Right.
Ron Francis has the best. He needs a Stanley Cup, and he got it. Yeah. You know, the end of his career.
Where did he win a cup?
Are you thinking of Ray Bourque?
Ray Bourque does. Ron didn't win it.
No, aren't I thinking of Carolina?
He didn't win it there.
No, the Leafs got him in 2002.
Yeah.
Or 2003 or 4.
When did they win?
When's the Carolina
2006.
win? Oh, yeah.
Maybe
I was thinking of the Ray Bourque story.
Yeah. Ray Bourque. You would have been right about Ray Bourque.
Yeah.
He absolutely did.
Francis won in the early 90s.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Borky.
Borky.
Yeah.
Let's do the press conference.
All right. Adam's history corner. You guys
Here
ready?
we go. All right. I'm going to try to keep this short.
All right. No, go long. History. This one comes from Emil Nasteller. DM'd me.
Good one.
I assume that last name is Finnish because they are asking. The Winter War, Finland and Russia, just in case there are others called the same. They want you to speak a little to that. And then I have another follow-up, which is a different question.
Okay, so the Winter War's cool. Get it?
Hey.
No, it's a cool piece of history because it's basically forgotten because World War II happened right afterwards. But what you have, from what I remember, again, this is off the top of my head.
I thought it was part of it.
It is sort of.
Yeah.
It's its own little theater. So Russia and Germany, because Germany wanted to focus on defeating the Allied powers, France, Britain, at the beginning of the war, and they thought it would be a bit of a hard slug rather than what it became, which was a total rout.
Well, and also, hey, we'd like to fight on one front instead of two, like last time.
Yeah. So what they did was they signed a non-aggression pact, means we won't attack you, you don't attack us. And by the way, in this non-aggression pact with Russia or Soviet Union at the time, we're going to just divide up Poland. And Poland's not going to know. We're just going to divide it up and it's ours. And so that's what they did. And Russia used to control Finland. So I think during the late Russian Empire, Finland was a part of, it had been a part of Sweden. It had broken off, and I believe the Russians controlled it. That's my understanding anyway. So they tried to reinvade. But as we know from the Germans invading Russia a year later, the Russian army was a total disaster at this time. They had, in 1937, Stalin had eliminated his best friend and hunting buddy, and the entire Red Army leadership, some of whom had been left over for, since World War I. These guys were hardened military people, and one of them was a very popular general, and he eliminated all of them. So you imagine the American government without all of its top military leaders, all of them, like 100 people gone. And so the army is a disaster in terms of training, logistics, organization, and it was already a mess because it was huge and unable to support itself in World War I when things were going in their favor. So you imagine without any good leadership. So they go into Finland, and Finland's like tiny little Finland, and they think this is going to be a walk. And the Finns fight this incredible guerrilla mountain warfare where the Russians would camp out at night, and remember, it's Finland, so it's snowing, and the Finns would ski in, like on cross-country skis.
So you couldn't hear them.
Blow them up. Yeah,
Oh.
couldn't hear them. Blow them up, blow up their campsites, and then ski away.
Dressed in white.
Dressed in
Dressed
all
in
white.
white.
Yes, it was it's an amazing story. So the resistance is such a fascinating thing because Finland at the time was technically working with Germany because Russia had invaded. But the Allies at the time looked at Finland and said, "See, you can stop Russian oppression." And then the Allies ended up allying with Russia. So it's a bizarre little piece of history. But it is a very fascinating, and I wish I knew more about the specifics of it. But the Finnish general, held out as long as they possibly could. Like they did an incredible job with this, with a very small army. And what they did was it was mental warfare. They got into the Russians' heads because the Russians felt like they couldn't sleep. They couldn't sleep without, being attacked. And so, the Finns are never going to fight them one-on-one. They're never going to go into the ring and go, let's slug this out.
They'll lose. They're crazily outnumbered.
They're just going to take little pieces of you, and they're going to get inside your head, and they're going to terrify you, especially at night. And it was brilliant guerrilla warfare. And I just think it's hilarious that they skied in, and then after the battle was over, they ski away. Just like it's a bizarre time in history. But when you want to fight up there, that's kind of what you have to do.
It's okay. We'll follow the tracks, though. Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, it's still snowing.
Exactly. So anyway, that's what I know about it. I'm sure there's Finnish listeners going, but there was this and this and this and this. Right. I don't know anymore, but that's what I know.
They were also asking you to speak a little on the depiction of Vikings in movies versus actual history, if you could.
Yeah. So Vikings never wore the helmet with the horns. They never did that.
Really?
They didn't have a written language. So it's unfortunate. They're such a mysterious, fascinating culture because we know so little about them. They didn't write anything down. So they were these raiders, and they went into Germany. They went into northern France. They went in, obviously, in England. There was a big thing. But they made what set Vikings apart was their boats. The Viking longboat, and they've confirmed this. Vikings made it to Newfoundland and settled.
Wow.
In North America, yep.
In North America in the 1400s or something like that, or 1200s or something.
No, it was 800.
Was it at the 800? Well, there you go.
It was well before Christopher Columbus.
Steve's history corner.
Wow.
I might be wrong.
I like it. No, but it probably was, man. It was technology that was so far ahead of its time, which is incredible for a culture that had no written language. And their whole thing, and I don't know if you've watched Vikings, the TV show, they have, obviously you should watch Vikings. It's really good.
Wasn't Josh Donaldson on Vikings?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a Canadian-Irish production. But it's a massive worldwide hit.
Oh.
But what they said when they were going into making the production of that was, okay, we know some stuff. We're going to have to make some of this stuff up because, again, we don't know. They're just things that we'll never know about the Vikings. But what was fascinating is how important the technology was for their boats, their longboats. They would roll up onto shore, and they would show up anywhere. And that was the thing. It's like the Finnish and the Russians in that particular theater. They would show up. The British especially would not be expecting them. They'd raid some monastery, kill everyone, and then walk away with all the gold and stuff because it didn't mean anything to them. It's not religious to them. And the mental trauma that causes you, that feeling of insecurity all along the coast. The most populous areas of England and Europe are all along the coast. So at any time, these strangers from a far off distant land that you've never heard of before could show up and kill you, and there'd be nothing you could do about it. And it part of what the Vikings did that was so fascinating was they, in a lot of ways, contributed to England unifying, because England is, 4 different kingdoms, right? Or sorry, Britain was 4 different kingdoms: the Irish, Scots, Welsh. You could even argue the Northumbrians, and then the East Anglians, which are down in the south.
Sure.
And so and this happened over a long, long, long period of time, but the Vikings showing up made those kingdoms work together to try to kick them out. And then you start to have some cohesion, or a British identity, however you could have called it back then, especially in the South. So the Vikings are fascinating, and we know almost nothing about them. And that's what makes them so fascinating. And the fact that they were Canadian. They're Canadian Vikings, guys. Canadian Vikings.
Steve.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Viking fact you can contribute to this segment?
I'm 1/16 Norwegian.
Are you?
Yes.
Ooh.
It was
wow. There you go.
Yeah, it was one of the last things I remember my grandma telling me before she started losing her memory. And I wish, because she had so much was lost when she lost her memory, because she knew all of the genealogy of the family. And I wish that was something while writing the book that was so frustrating. I wish I could have picked her brain. I wish.
Yeah, if you still have your grandparents around, try to mine them for all the stories that you possibly can about your family's history, because once they're gone, stories are gone too.
You don't get it back. You don't get it back. And it's like the Italian side of my family. I'm like, I don't know. They all had first names that ended with A and were farmers. Ended with A or O and ended with some sort of vowel, and milk cows and stuff.
Cows and stuff.
Yeah, you gotta get stories, documentation, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't go back nearly far enough.
Anyway, I think that's it for the show today. Are we done, Jess?
Oh yeah,
I'm good. Steve, do you have anything?
Be safe and hey, try new stuff.
Yeah. No, don't.
Or don't go to Big Red official Crushability with Big Red and get him to show you what to do with your booze.
No, definitely do that. Definitely do that. Stay safe. We'll see you on Wednesday. And we love you.
Yeah.
And we hope everything's good. Thank you for everything you do, especially those of you that are working in the front lines. We love you. Thanks so much. Bye.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness. Connection complete.